Alright, listen up, Trailblazers. Anaxa's beta changes are here, and let me tell you, he got both nerfed and buffed. Not by a massive amount, but just enough to make a real difference in combat. Maybe or not, today we're breaking down what these changes mean for his synergy with Herta, how he fits into her team, and why he might be your next must-pull. But before we get into that, if you're new here, hit that like and subscribe button. We're so close to 500 subscribers, and your support means the absolute world to me. Oh, and if you haven't checked out my video on Hyacinth and Cypher's kit, go watch it, it's linked in the description. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So let's talk numbers. Most of the buffs, not that huge to be honest. Basically, his skill now has an additional multiplier for AoE scenarios. For each enemy target available on the battlefield, it increases damage dealt by 15% per enemy up to 75% for 5 targets. But his talent, that got nerfed. Anaxa now deals 40% more damage to targets in the exposed nature state, down from 60%. If you don't know, exposed nature happens when you implant 5 weaknesses into a target. And that's pretty much it. Those are the main changes. Alright, let's get into it. Now, I know a lot of people are frustrated with rigged endgame content, crazy boss mechanics, and questionable buffs, but let's take a step back and actually analyze Anaxa's future potential instead of getting caught up in the moment. I already discussed his entire kit from Beta 1 and did an Anaxa versus Jade comparison for the Herta team. This video, consider it an extension of that discussion. You can check that one out too, it's a solid breakdown, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Seriously, I love talking about this kind of stuff, so don't be shy, drop your takes down below. Let's be real, AoE-focused content in AS and Memory of Chaos won't last forever. Eventually, we're going to see a shift, and when that happens, I can't wait to see people's reactions. Remember when people doom-posted Jade at launch because she wasn't strong in single-target fights? And now she's one of the most respected units in the game. It's all about how the meta evolves. Now let's talk Herta's kit real quick. She is already stacked with self-buffs, she doesn't need more. What she needed was a partner who could cover her weaknesses, and that's where Tribi came in. But now, Anaxa takes it to another level. Here are some key points. Number 1, single target damage. Anaxa brings some serious fake sale level multipliers to the table. Although his multiplier not going to be as strong as Fei Zio, but close enough. For single target with full team Robin, Tribi and Laucha, Anaxa did almost 20% less damage than Fei Zio, that impassive for erudition. Obviously, I tested in beta with some good artifacts, so definitely subject to change depending on relic target and team. Honestly, people are sleeping on this just because he's not flashy in the current meta. But trust me, he hits hard. Number 2, weakness break synergy. Honkai Star Rail's endgame is all about breaking enemies, and it's not just Herta and Anaxa doing the work. Gallagher and Linksha's insane toughness reduction and Tribi's crazy damage dealing potential make this team an absolute nightmare for enemies. It's all about the team effort. No matter what enemies you face, they all going to have the same weakness. Number 3, Tribi's battery king. Let's be clear. Anaxa is not just Herta's best battery, he's also Tribi's best battery. He lets her spam DDD destruction like crazy, and no one else even comes close to enabling her this much. Support Anaxa with ER rope can spam ult that enable Tribi a lot. I can tell you synergy's next level, at least what I am experiencing right now. Number 4, access to a broken new 4-star light cone. This thing is free. It gives a massive attack bonus and 56% damage bonus for free. Outclasses the battle pass light cone at superimposition 5. And guess who takes full advantage of it? That's right, Anaxa. Number 5, Eidolons that boost everyone. His E2 is insanely valuable not just for Herta's damage but also for Tribi's damage boost. If people still think Herta doesn't hit hard, this is the game changer. Although I don't go for Eidolons, and most of you don't really care about that, but if you are lucky or you are a dolphin or a whale, you probably need to have that information, and his Eidolons is really good. Alright, so is Anaxa must pull. If you're running a Herta-focused team, he's hands down the best option. He fixes the gaps in her gameplay, covers both single target and AoE scenarios, and elevates the whole team's performance. But here's the big question, would you use Herta in a strict single target fight? If the answer is no, then that's where Anaxa shines. Now, if you already have Jade, I totally get why you might skip Anaxa. Jade is still an incredible option, and if you're already covered for single target damage, you might not feel the need to invest 100+ special passes into him. And honestly, that's fine. Not every character is a must-pull for every account. That being said, Anaxa has one major advantage over Jade. He still works in AoE scenarios while Jade struggles in single-target fights. So if you want a character who can flex between different battle types, Anaxa has the upper hand. At the end of the day, nobody is saying Anaxa is bad. Even the people questioning him aren't calling him weak. They're just debating whether he's worth the investment right now. Well, for one, starting with a strawman isn't in good faith. But moving past that, I do think the community jumps to terms such as doom posting much too quickly. Most of the sentiment I've seen regarding Anaxa has been around him being seemingly underwhelming. On Jade's release, there weren't good AI bosses or drivers such as Tribi or Linksha. It's perfectly valid for a person to look at their PF performance and decide she isn't worth the pulls. Pulling based on a hypothetical future is cool, and a personal decision that you're entitled to, but demeaning others because they won't is a bit much. Still no basic attack support for DHIL, no dedicated dot support. Jingliu has been struggling on non-ice week for approaching a year now. The future is not set despite HSR's themes saying otherwise. Anaxa does well in single target scenarios more than any other erudition, that's for sure. He is no fake Xiao, that's a ridiculous statement. On ult Fei has a 860% multiplier. Anaxa has 300% on a single target that needs a single target to be that high. Any more enemies and his skill spreads out its damage. He cast his skill twice in optimal scenarios, so 600% multiplier. You won't always have the skill point to spare though, he's not the main DPS. This is discounting everything else Fei does that Anaxa doesn't match, like her acting frequently out of turn and having synergy with certain units. Anaxa does shred weakness bars more than anyone else on the Herta team. This is a fact. It's nothing game-changing though. Implanting fire weakness for specifically Gallagher is a niche interaction at best, and is not a reason to pull an entire unit. Every AS cycle the bosses play more towards their own gimmick mechanic more than having players directly break them. Hule is straight-up weakness protected. Against both current AS bosses Anaxa isn't needed, and it's the same for the next two. He does 1v1 Hule in the duel mode quite nicely though. Look, it's totally fine to skip a character and wait for a rerun. Fear of missing out is real, and pressuring people to pull for a character just in case can be way more damaging than missing out on a single unit. Clearing endgame content is that hard in this game. You lose a few gems by taking 20 cycles instead of 10, big deal. Pulling based on a hypothetical future is fine and a personal decision that you're entitled to. But pressuring people to pull for a character just in case can be way more damaging than missing out on a single unit. Clearing endgame content is that hard in this game, so if you're unsure, waiting for a rerun isn't a bad move. Herta already has amazing 4-star options, so if you're not convinced, you're not forced to pull for Anaxa. But if you do, you're getting an absolute monster of a unit. Alright, that's a wrap. What do you think? Is Anaxa must pull, or are you saving your Stellar Jade for future banners? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and check out my other videos, especially my breakdown on Hyacinth and Cypher's kit. The link is in the description. Alright, I'm off to grind some Stellar Jade. Until next time, thanks for watching, peace out.
球球冰了，2球球敲，3球球菜肴，4球球熬，5球球莫名死掉，6球球抬，7球球闷着头挖坑，8球球奶奶。